comes and joins us. That's a good start. Let's cough into our hands. Here we go. Right, we are live. No, I didn't, mate.
This is particularly for everyone watching on delay, okay? Because this is the bit where we come online and we work out how everything works. And we have a little chat between me and Paul. And we go, "Hello, everyone, welcome." And there's actually no one here. Oh, there's now 5 people here. So hello to those 5 people. But we always waste a good opening, Paul, occasionally. So I'm suggesting the next time we launch this, we just hum for 30 seconds and then we'll bring everyone in. But now people are arriving. Hi, everyone. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hello, people. How's things? Happy Sunday night. Let's get the comments loaded up. Say hello to people. Adam's here. Leighton's here. Hey, hi, guys. How you doing? Will's here.
Oh, that's nice. William said hello to Chris. And Chris isn't even with us yet. I like that.
But they know he is. Let's just bring him up so everyone gets the knowledge that Chris is with us.
Bring him in.
Hey, Chris.
Here he is. Hi.
Here's the star of the show. Just for a little cameo. Chris,
what's your shirt? What's your sound your shirt, Chris?
Said never grow that way. Up.
There we
nice.
go.
Where'd you get that from?
That might be the hookedonwrestling.co.uk website.
Oh, that's very nice. And in lovely Southampton, red and white as well.
Yeah, very thoughtful. I thought.
There we go. There we go.
You, but
right, Chris, we're gonna lose. Let's lose Chris while we do the rules. Chris, we'll see you in 5, dude.
See you in a bit.
That's 5 questions rather than 5 minutes. Welcome, everybody. It's 7:57. So as our regulars will know and our newbies will soon find out, we chit-chat and talk nonsense till 8 p.m. Then we'll run through the rules, which take us a couple of minutes, just basically how to enter and whatnot. And then we'll get started with the quiz at 8:05. So who we got in here, mate? So we've got Richard. Hey, Richard. We've got Pat. We've got Leanne. We've got Matt. We've got Adam and Leighton and Will. We've already said hello to. So we've got a decent little turnout tonight, mate. Have you had a good day?
No.
Oh. I wasn't expecting that. You could at least pretend and just say, yeah.
No, I know, but people always do that. You always say to people, don't you, they could have been through the worst hell. But people are so British, and you go, "You had a good day." They go, "Yeah, not bad." And they haven't. They haven't. They had a terrible day. No, do you don't really want to hear about I can talk you through my round of golf if you want.
Well, we've only got 2 minutes, so let's not. How far over par were you?
I was 3 over my handicap, but I started par birdie par, and it all looked like it was going to go very well, and I faded away. Anyway, more important things. What are you wearing? We've gone through Chris's apparel. What are you wearing?
What am I wearing? I'm wearing my Totally Hooked on Wrestling shirt, which is also available from hookedonwrestling.co.uk. How about you, Rob?
Tell me, is it only available in red?
No, I believe it's available in many other colours as well, including
black. There we go.
There we go. It's a Henry Ford special. I love it. Right, so
that is an excellent joke. I mean, it's an inaccurate historical quote, but it's an excellent joke.
But it's still good, isn't it? Exactly. Yeah. So how is everyone today anyway? Enough about us. We've got 1 more minute to ask everybody, how's everyone's weekend going? Decent? As good as mine? Or as poor as Rob's? Oh, I haven't done anything of note. I just played Mario Kart with my little boy, which has been quite cool.
Anyone watch Slammiversary last night? Any thoughts on Slammiversary from the room? Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it? Did you think the surprises, etc., were up to scratch? I haven't seen it, Paul. Have you watched it?
No, I haven't watched it. I've read the report. No, I'll watch it at some point over the week.
It was the first thing I read this morning on hookedonwrestling.co.uk. Was the
well, that's good.
Was the quick results that were up?
Well, that was Chris's handiwork. So thank you very much for Chris for staying up and doing the duty for us. Mick says these are cheaper plugs than a Chinese iPhone charger from which we can get cheaper, Mick. We can and have got much cheaper. Just bear with us a few minutes. I'm sure we can go down even further. Maybe not to Wish's level, but we can. So evening on that note, Mick. Evening, Chris. And right, we're at 8 o'clock. So let's lay out the rules, shall we? Shall I take this, Rob? I usually Get this one go. Right, guys. So welcome to the Hooked on Wrestling Sunday night quiz. For our regulars, hello again. For our newbies, hello. Hopefully this will be the first of many. So just to tell you the format for tonight, we have 20 questions that we're going to run through over the course of the next hour or so. What we'll do is 10 of which are asked by me, 10 of which are asked by Rob. And we both set those questions ourselves. So what we do is we'll ask a question. We'll give you guys a minute or so to answer. Then the other person will chip in with their answer. So I'll ask Rob, for instance, at what WrestleMania did the Undertaker face Giant Gonzalez? We'll give you guys time to answer. Then Rob will say WrestleMania
49.
There we go. That's the one. So how do you answer? How do you answer the questions? Our regulars will know and have probably already sent Chris his hello on DMs. But if you've not been already, you answer by sending a direct message to the Hooked on Wrestling Facebook page. Okay, don't put it in the comments. Send it to the Hooked on Wrestling Facebook page via direct message. It should be quite easy to do. I would advise you practice now. Send Chris a quick hello. He'll send you a thumbs up back, and then you'll know that he's getting the answer. So when you answer, first things first, always put the question number ahead of your answer. So it's question 1, you put 1 answer, and then 2 is 2 answer, etc., etc. It helps Chris collate them. And secondly, you only get one shot. Right? So if you realise you've messed up on your first answer, please don't send another one in. It'll just confuse Hatchamania. Your first answer is final. Okay, so how we do it? We split it into 4 blocks of 5 questions each. At the end of those 5 questions, we give bonus points out. How do you get the bonus points? It's very simple. If you're one of the first 3 to send your answer in, you get a bonus point. Okay, so you get a point for getting the question right, and you get a bonus point if you're one of the first 3. Chris will read out after every block of 5 the number of bonus points each person has got for the previous 5 questions. One thing we're doing tonight, by the way, guys, that anyone who plays for the whole quiz, so the whole 20 questions, we're going to put your names randomly in a hat, and 2 of you will win a special Undertaker The Last Ride t-shirt. Which is pretty cool because it's a Euro shop. So to do that, all you need to do is to win that. All you need to do, first of all, make sure you send Chris that message to test the direct messages. That's really important. That qualifies you for the prize. Hey, Graham. Hey, Callum. And then once you're done that, you've got to answer all the questions. So only the people who answer all the questions in some form or fashion will be in the draw for the t-shirts at the end. Doesn't matter whether you get the question right, doesn't matter if you get the question wrong, doesn't matter who you answer. Bastian Booger for all 20 questions. As long as you put something in there, you will qualify. And just for the benefit, I've seen a few people who've come in a little bit later. Just to clarify, guys, to answer the questions, don't put it in the comments or we'll delete them. Send your answers in to us after each question via the means of direct message to the Hooked on Wrestling Facebook page. Are we clear? Was that
sounds good to me?
Did I do it right there, Rob? Yeah?
No, it sounds very clear
Chris,
to me. We will reinforce the fact that we need you to make sure that you send your little hello test message through to Chris. He's asked us to make sure that that's the thing that everyone's doing. So make sure you're sending that through. So just send your name. Oh, don't send your name because we know who the name is because it comes through. But just say a little hello to the Hooked on Wrestling Facebook page, just so Chris will know, and you will know that it's got through because he'll send you a little thumbs up or something along those lines. Looking forward to giving some of those prizes out. We've got it's nice to give away some swag. We're going to work on doing that on a bit more of a regular basis if possible, but you have got to, as Paul said, be around for all 20 questions to make sure that you qualify.
Indeed. Right. So it is coming up 5 past. So just the one last thing to say is we are going to do a quick Extreme Rules preview afterwards. If anyone wants to stick around and join, Rob, Chris, and I will we'll have a little chat about chinwag about the car tonight, and we'd like you guys to jump in and contribute as well. Basically, we'll just go till 10 o'clock. So however long we've got after the end of the quiz, we'll keep going till 10, and we will go from there. So this week, the format of the questions is Rob's going to ask the first 5, then I'm going to do the middle 10. And then Rob will take us home with the last 5. So with that in mind, Rob, it is 5 past. So why don't you kick us off with question 1?
I'll tell you the reason why, because I'm trying to find the questions on my screen. There they are. Working off a different computer today, folks. Been blue screen of deathing all day on the main laptop. So I'm on the Dell that I bought on eBay for 40 quid. So it's obviously it's an absolute beauty. It's not the best. Okay, right. I've got to. Okay, what would you rather have? Right, we can have you can have one of my little 5 question connection things, or we can have 5 questions on the Slammy Awards. What would you prefer?
Let's start with the Slammy Awards because I've been looking forward to that. Everything you've told me about them.
Because I haven't watched last night, but I believe TNA did the Slammy Awards last night. Is that right? That's what Slammiversary is, right? They just Slammiversary. I assume Slammiversary is because they stopped doing the Slammy Awards in WWE. I just assumed TNA took it on because that must be no.
No, it's not the anniversary of the Slammies or anything like that.
I thought it was the anniversary of the Slammies.
No, you've cocked up there, mate. You've cocked up, but never mind. Let's have them anyway, shall we? Let's have them anyway.
I feel a right nana now. Okay, we'll do them anyway, shall we? Right, the Slammy Awards. Some of you might not even know what the Slammy Awards are. There is a chance some of you are newer fans because they've not been there. It's the last 4 or 5 years they've not done them, but there's been lots of different versions of the Slammy Awards. Way back when, in the late 1980s, there was a couple of Slammy Awards ceremonies, and it went quiet for a few years. And we had some in there from about mid-90s for 4 or 5 years. And then they were discontinued and brought back again in the mid-2000s, and then it became sort of part of a TV show. So there's been different incarnations of the Slammies, different ways of handing out the awards, but we're going to have a go at doing a few questions about those today. So all about the Slammy Awards, starting with question number 1. That's a good idea, isn't it? Number 1, who hosted the 1994, 1996 and 1997 Slammy Awards? Who hosted the 1994, 1996 and 1997 Slammy Awards?
I've got 2 names in mind, and I can guarantee you whichever one I give you will be the wrong one.
Just to clarify, just in case, because I seem to remember at least one show of the Slammies started off with the announced duo welcoming you. There was like an announced team, like it would be for Raw or something. And then they threw over to the person that was hosting. So to be clear, the host is the person that was on the stage giving the awards out, not the announced duo on the night, just in case there's a bit of confusion. And you say, no, it was so-and-so. No, that was very specifically when they said, please welcome your host. And out they came. It might have been that they did co-host. They might have co-hosted on at least one occasion. I'm not sure. But for sure, this person hosted all 3 of those. So if you're not clear, what we do, obviously that was a little bit of filling to give everyone some time to get your answers in. We'll just hold off a wee bit more. Hopefully it's given everyone time to get something in. The first 3 correct answers are going to be getting bonus points. But in a second, Paul is going to give me his answer. It's not necessarily right. I won't tell him straight away if he's right or not. I will simply nod with a poker face and then carry on and do question number 2. When we've done all 5, at that point, we'll give you the correct answers. So we trust you that you won't put your answers in after Paul. If you do, you do. That's just the way it goes. But you certainly won't get any bonus points. And if you wait until the answers that I give, when it's the other way around, you probably won't score any points because I didn't get any out of 10 last week. So let's go. What are you saying, Paul?
Like I say, I've got 2 names. I am going to go with the male of the name. I've got a male and a female. I'm going to go with Todd Pettengill. Todd Pettengill.
Okay. Number 2. The first 6 times that a Slammy Award was given for best match or some sort of variation on that theme was 1994, 96, 97, 2008, 2009 and 2010. One man won that award every time. Name him. So the first 6 times a Slammy Award was given for best match, I think there was a couple that were the most amazing match, or they weren't necessarily best match, but there was some sort of match vote. 1994, 1996, 1997, 2008, 2009, 2010. Those are the years of the Slammy Awards, not necessarily the year of the matches, or they might well have been. But on all 6 of those occasions, one person featured in the award for best match. Name him, please. Is that question clear, Paul? You understand where I'm coming from there?
Very clear. Yes, very clear indeed.
I know it's a very wordy one. But
very clear and also one of those. If I had to put the mortgage money on one this week, this would be the one.
Okay, interesting. Very confident, isn't he? Confident, folks, because he got loads last week. I don't
like the
think you've
week
got a
before
10.
and the week before and the week
Yeah.
before. No,
I don't think you've got a 10 though, have you? You keep knocking
I
on the door.
haven't had a 10.
nine.
I've had at least 2 9s. Did I get 9 last week? I can't remember. But I don't think
you got 9
I
last
think
week.
Did I get 9? I thought I might have got 8. But anyway, I've had 9 at least twice, maybe 3 times.
I just want to get a point, please. Please let me get a point.
You'll get a point, Rob. I've made them easy for you this week. I'm going to put my answer in for this one. I think people have plenty of time to discuss this or discuss it. Think about this. Sorry, I think it's Shawn Michaels.
Okay, number 3. Who has won the Slammy Award for Breakout Star of the Year in a faction and as a singles? Not giving you the year this time, but at least a couple of times they have done an award which is Breakout Star of the Year. That is the exact wording of the Slammy. On one occasion, the Breakout Star was given to a faction. On another time, the Breakout Star was given to an individual who is the only person that was part of the faction that won and won as an individual on a later occasion. Well, like I said, that's a specific wording of Breakout Star. I think there's been new sensations and other wording of a similar sort of Slammy, but specific wording Breakout Star of the Year.
Yeah, I'm down to 2 on this one again.
Okay,
I'm down to 2. So we'll see when I got this right or not.
While you're thinking, Mick has just confirmed that you did miss out on the perfect 10. I seem to remember doing some sort of Ty Dillinger thing with you last week.
Yes, I remember.
Patrick says he's apologising for being responsible for my 0 last week. Patrick, you were not responsible, sir. I was responsible for not knowing more. It's my bad, as people say, with poor grammar.
Right, I'm going to answer this question now, Rob. I'm tossing a coin on this, but I'm going. Well, yeah, I am really. Seth Rollins.
Okay. Question number 4, similar sort of question. Who are the only couple to have won Couple of the Year twice? Who are the only couple to have won the Couple of the Year award twice? That is question number 4. It's the sound of a man thinking, folks. That's the not as easy as he thought it was going to be. He stormed through them last week.
That's a good question. That's a very good question indeed.
See, I don't know how to fill. Sometimes I don't know how to fill. I'm aware that there's dead air, but I'm thinking if you're thinking that hard, perhaps everyone's thinking that hard. So I'll give everyone a bit of a chance to go through it.
Surely you don't need to say anything. Surely they can all hear the cogs whirring in my brain.
Yeah. They can see them.
As I contemplate the answer, I think I've got a guess on this one. I'm not confident on this one. The mortgage money's not going on this one. That's for sure. Are you in control of your faculties this time, Rob? You're not on too much beer. On our podcast live recording last week, Rob had to go to the toilet mid run through, which is very amusing.
That is I seem to remember it was relatively near the end. Wasn't that the quiz? I thought it was the quiz.
I know. I think if it was a quiz, I'd have jumped. Chris had helped me. It was definitely the podcast because I had to feel by myself.
Oh yeah. Oh well, you just did all the plugging. That was okay. I just ran away and you did the plugging.
Just a bit of waffling. It was fine. Answer your question, or the guest to answer your question. Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth.
Okay, and number 5. Yes, I'll come back to that in a second. Number 5. Which of these? I'm going to list a few categories. Which of these was not a category in the 1994 Slammy Awards? Okay. So I'm going to read out a whole bunch of categories. Which of these was not a category? Sweatiest, greediest, mouthiest, smelliest, hairiest, funniest. 6 options. One of them is not true. 5 of those were given as Slammy Awards in 1994. I'll say them a couple more times. Sweatiest, greediest, mouthiest, smelliest, hairiest, and funniest. One more time through. Which of these was not a category in 1994? Sweatiest, greediest, mouthiest, smelliest, hairiest, and funniest. And when we do the answers, we'll play a little subsidiary game about who won which one when we get there. But
they really were going for the highbrow awards in 1994, weren't they?
I think in 1994 they weren't a proper ceremony. I think it was literally just an episode of WWF Mania.
Oh,
and they just reeled out a bunch of things, and then a couple of years later was when they went back to doing a ceremony in a hotel conference room or whatever it was.
Right. Okay. Sweatiest, greediest, mouthiest, hairiest, funniest. Right. Okay.
Which of those is not real?
Well, I'm going to take a guess. Obviously, I've got no clue. Could be any of them at all. But I'm going to say mouthiest. Just because mouthy feels like more of a British term than an American term. But
okay, fair enough.
That's literally all I've got. So.
Good logic. Okay, that's the first 5 questions. So we'll run through those 5 again now. And we'll go through what Paul's answers were. And I'll give you the real answers. And once we're done with that, we'll bring Chris back in to give you the scores or the bonus points anyway. So count up your scores as you go along. Chris will tell you what bonuses you are able to apply. Number 1, who hosted the 1994, 1996 and 1997 Slammy Awards? Paul, you said...
Todd Pettengill.
Todd Pettengill earns you a point, my friend. That is the correct answer. I've lost a lot of time over the last day or two watching Slammy Awards by getting drawn into the YouTube video. I don't think they're on the network, the Slammys, but there's definitely a couple of them on YouTube in full. And Todd Pettengill singing a song to open the 1996 Slammy Awards is extraordinary. The man can't sing, but the innovation of it and the little bits of wordplay and stuff, it is tremendous to watch. It really is very, very, very good. Like I say, he's an awful singer.
Hart, Todd Pettengill.
But it's very funny. Right, Todd Pettengill is the correct answer. Number 2, the first 6 times that the Slammy was given for best match or a variation on that. I think sometimes it was most spectacular match. Sometimes it was something similar. But it was 94, 96, 97, 08, 09 and 2010. One man won the award every time. Paul Benson went for the mortgage. Is he going to be living in a bigger house or no house? What's he gone for?
It's going to be the bigger house. I've gone for Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels in matches versus Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, Ric Flair, The Undertaker, and The Undertaker. Shawn Michaels is the correct answer.
Yep.
Have another point. Help yourself to another point. Number 3, who was one breakout star of the year in a faction and as a singles?
Well, to me, it was either Rollins or Reigns, I think. So I'm going, because I don't think they've had a faction award back in the 80s and 90s, I don't think. I think it sounds like a more modern innovation, and the Shield were really the only ones that were going to win that, in my opinion, after the New Day. But the New Day never did singles afterwards. Again, I don't think. So Seth Rollins.
You wanted a coin? Is that what you said? It was a coin flip. So what was heads and what was tails?
Well, it was, Rollins was heads. Roman Reigns was tails.
Needed a 3-sided coin, my friend. It's Dean Ambrose.
Is it really?
Dean Ambrose is the answer.
Wow! I would never have thought that.
Wow, indeed. Dean Ambrose for the answer number 3. No perfect 10 this week. Number 4. Who are the only couple to have won Couple of the Year award twice?
Randy and Liz.
You're in the same sort of era as the Ambrose Awards. If I tell you that, so obviously you're not going to get it right. So we're roughly talking about the years that Ambrose would have won his Slammys. Not far away, anyway. Maybe a little bit more recent, actually.
Cena and Nikki Bella. No, that's wrong, isn't it?
Next door, Daniel
Bryan. Brie and Bryan. Okay.
The correct answer: Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella.
I was a million miles off there. I would not have got that.
Tricky one. Number 5.
Bastion Booger has got to get one of these.
All right, let's go through. What did you said? The mouthiest.
I said mouthiest, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you that the sweatiest wrestler was IRS.
Of course.
The greediest wrestler was Tatanka. I assume that's for taking
for the
DiBiase's dollar.
Yeah.
The funniest was Dink.
Right.
The smelliest was a draw between Duke the Dumpster Drosy and Henry O'Godwin. So it leaves us with either mouthiest or hairiest. Which of those was a made-up one and which one was a real one? Paul said the made-up one was mouthiest. The mouthiest was Jerry Lawler. Therefore, the hairiest was the one I made up. He was the one I made up. So the correct answer is hairiest, because the mouthiest was Jerry Lawler. So there you are. I made up a Slammy and you believed me. That's rather wonderful.
If I'd have had to rate them in most believable, I'd have probably put that top, actually, or top 2 with smelliest. But touche, my friend. Right. So we've got 5 questions here. I'm only on 2, so I'm doing a Rob. I'm doing a Rob this week.
Rob would have been delighted with 2 on a couple of occasions. It's half time. So
well, let's bring in our erstwhile co-host, Mr. Hatchamania.
All right.
And you'll get the timing right there one day, Rob. Chris, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good. You all right?
Press the button.
Yeah, mate. Red Bull working okay?
Hey, absolutely fine. Buzzing. I don't know what's wrong. I'm watching wrestling. So what's the problem?
Good man. Good man. So you got some bonus points for us in that tricky round.
I certainly have. Quite a wide spread, but start off with Patrick Heathfield on 5. Dylan Woods 2, Chris Marden 2, Adam Ferrand 1, Matt Barber 1, Mick Connolly 1, Will Kitchen 1.
Tremendous effort, guys. Just give us one more time, Chris.
Yep, cool. Patrick Heathfield 5, Dylan Edwards 2, Chris Marden 2, Adam Ferrand 1, Matt Barber 1, Mick Connolly 1, and Will Kitchen 1.
Well done, guys. So if you've heard your name mentioned there with a points total next to it, add that to your round 1 score, and we'll call that a running total. So, Chris, we're going to let you go now, but bear in mind, Rob and I have been talking. We have got a challenge for you this week, my friend. We let you off last week because we were feeling like you deserved a break, but that means it's a double-edged sword for you, my friend, because that means we've had 2 weeks to talk amongst ourselves about what we're going to set you in this week. So
I would say I look forward to it. You know I won't. So
you are the Mr. Ben of Hooked on Wrestling, mate. And if anybody's too young to know who that is, then go Google it after the quiz. But Chris, we'll see you in a few questions time, mate.
See you in a bit.
Bye. And Graham, just to let you know, by the way, you got your point for getting one right, but you got the ones that Chris was calling out there were bonus points, right? So you're marking your own scores for the questions you got correct, but he was giving out bonus points for fastest answers. So if you got one right in that round, you got 1 point. But for instance, Patrick, who got 5 points at Chris right now, he's got 5 correct, obviously, because he got 5 there plus 5 bonus points. Fair fucking play, by the way, for getting all those right. Well done. Right, okay, so we're going to come to my block of questions now. We're going to do it in a slightly different way. So some people will be familiar with this already, but mine's a connection. I'm going to do a block of 10. It's a connections round. So essentially, I'm going to ask you 9 questions, right? Actually, 9 questions. But question 10 is, what is the connection between the previous 9 questions? Okay, that is question 10. Now, you can make a guess at that connection at any point. So if you think you've spotted the connection between all the answers after 3 questions, say, get in there and make your guess. But like the normal questions, if you get it wrong, you don't get another chance to guess later on. You only get 1 shot. So don't do it too early. Don't do it until you're sure. But the first 3 to give their correct bonus, give their correct connection, will get the extra bonus point as well. So if you get it after 9 and you put your guess in, for the connection, you'll still get a point. But if you're one of the first 3 to guess it, say you get it early on, you'll get a bonus point for it as well. Am I clear? I think I was clear, but it was a bit mealy-mouthed.
You were clear up to the point where you've got to remember that you're doing 6 to 15 and not 1 to 10.
Cheers, Leanne. Cheers, Rob. Yes. So on that note, we'll start my section with question 6. So question 6 then, guys. Who hosts the Major Wrestling Figures podcast alongside Matt Cardona? Who hosts the Major Figures Wrestling podcast alongside Matt Cardona?
Right, I'm going to. I'm not Googling to my side eye, but I'm going to write down answers because I'm going to try and work out your connections.
That's fine. I do that.
Trust me, Paul, to just write things. I know this, but do you need the person's gimmick name or their real name, or does it not matter?
I will accept either, but it could affect your comprehension of the connection. That's all I'll say.
Bastard.
But for the purposes of answering this question correctly, I'll give it to you for either gimmick name or real name.
Okay. Because obviously that'll be coming in right now to Chris's inbox, and he needs to know if he's marking either one. I think I know both though. I know who it is, and I'm trying to remember the guy's real name, which I think I've got. So you tell me when you're ready for me to
go for it.
Give you the answer. I'm not absolutely certain who Matt Cardona is, but I think he must be Zack Ryder. So my answer is Kurt Hawkins, and I'm going to stick there because I'm not certain I know his real name. I think I know his real name, but I'm not certain.
Okie doke. Bloody hell, someone's had a guess on the on the connection already. Impressive stuff. Right, okay. I'm not saying whether he's right or wrong, but he's had a guess. Right, question number 7. What was, and Chris, I apologise, I realise it's been an autocorrect when I've sent a question, but I think you might have got it, you might have twigged anyway. Question 7. What was the ring name used by Tracy Smothers during his mid-1990s WWF run?
Well, I think I know that one as well. What was who I know?
What was the ring name used by Tracy Smothers during his mid-1990s WWF run?
Okay, I can see a connection there. Got a little mini connection. This is an era where they did a real sort of. I think this is what people refer to as jobbers to the stars, don't they? They basically hired
the guy.
They hired a bunch of people to essentially, rather than being the normal, Barry Horowitz. Who else was there? Iron Mike Sharp, Dwayne Gill.
Yeah,
there was that sort of group of losers. Sorry guys, but losers. That's what they were there for. But then they brought in a whole bunch of other people to beat those guys, but then lose to the next level up.
So there was the Goon, there was Alex the Pug Porto, there was this chap, there was Who. Yeah, they had apparently if you read Chris Jericho's book,
Montoya to an extent.
They wanted Chris Jericho to be the Goon, didn't they?
Well, that fitted with his dad, didn't it? Because his dad was a bit like that as an ice hockey player.
So let's have your answer to question 7.
I'm fairly certain it was Freddie Joe Floyd.
Okie doke.
And I have the semblance of a connection, but you're not going to be able to, my connection, you won't be able to stretch over 9. So,
okay.
I have a connection.
A connection. Okay. So question number 8, I believe. Question number 8. Yep. Which member of the AEW Women's Division previously wrestled in NXT under the name Blue Pants? Which member of the AEW Women's Division previously wrestled in NXT under the name Blue Pants? And Matt Rickson thinks he's got the connection.
Right. I'm going to ask you the same as number 1 here, because I know a character name and I know a real name, and I don't know if they cross over.
I think the character name has been sort of it's kind of like a kind of loose gimmick. I'm looking for the real name on this one.
Okay. I don't know where. Okay, if I'm right, I don't know where I go connections wise. Even the blue pants thing's not real, is it? That they just started calling her that as a.
It was one that became real. It became, but
Yeah.
you're right. It was a fan moniker at first, and then it became a gimmick. So it was
I quite like stuff like that though. That's quite fun when that sort of thing happens.
Yeah. Not that it happens very often. We've got loads of guesses for the connection. Some right, some wrong. But we've had a ton of people going for it already.
I had an idea after 2, but that's.
Remember, you submit yours by private chat when.
No, I know that, but I'm not going to do it yet. I don't get any bonus points, you see, so I'm not playing for bonuses. So I'm going to make sure I get it right. I'm going to sit on this until the last point that I need to. So
what's your question 8 answer?
I think she's called Lever Bates.
Lever Bates. Okay. Question number 9. Question number 9 is, who did the Undertaker face on the first ever Monday Night Raw? I believe it was the main event.
Oh, I know.
Could be wrong about that. Could be wrong about that. But who did the Undertaker face on the first ever Monday Night Raw? So, guys, just to give you an idea, so we're going to be doing something slightly different into the bonus points. When we've got 5 questions in, Chris will give you the bonus points, but we're not going to give you the answers.
Yeah.
Simply because we don't want to give people an easy passage to the connection. I haven't got it already. So we've got Benjamin Muir clearly going crazy in the comments.
I've got it. I've got it. It's very
well
good,
done.
Paul.
And D&D and Ossews here. I'm glad you like it.
Am I going to write this in the right thing? Let me just make sure I'm doing a private message.
Put it in private chat.
Just do it in the private chat. Is that how you do it? There. Hopefully, I've not told everybody, have I? You can see that, can't you?
You've definitely put it in the right place. You've definitely put it in the right place.
I am so happy.
So, question 10. Oh no, sorry. You need to give me the answer to question 9. We've got a few coming through still, but I'm going to go on. Give us your answer.
My answer to that question is Damien Demento.
Damien Demento. Okay. Question 10. Who lampooned Owen Hart when D-Generation X spoofed the Nation of Domination? Who lampooned Owen Hart when D-Generation X spoofed the Nation of Domination?
I'm still writing them down, and I think I've got the connection. If did I get named after Rob Stark, King in the North?
I wouldn't pay much attention to that. I just blocked him.
Okay,
he was
a bit harsh.
He was doing my head in. Clearly here to have a. I don't know what he's here for, but anyway.
I don't know. He seemed to like you. Shout at you early on, but okay, never mind.
Sorry, Matt. Just to make clear, the 10th question in my block is the connection. The 10th question. So there's another. There's another few questions yet. So I'm going to give you 10 questions. It's actually question 15 in the whole quiz, but it's my 10th question. So right. So who lampooned Owen Hart then, Rob?
By the way, I suspect you were expecting an Owen Hart question in my Slammy's questions, weren't you? You didn't get one.
I was actually, yeah.
It is. I believe his name was. I think he was called Jason Sensation.
Okay, Jason Sensation. So that was question number 10. So everyone's got to go at that. So Chris, are we ready to do the bonus points? I know he's not. He wants 2 more minutes before we do the bonuses.
I will explain then why I didn't do the Owen Hart question. Well, the Owen Hart question I was going to do were what were the categories for which Owen did or didn't win his Slammies, because at least one of them he claimed. He walked up and he just claimed it and walked away. But I was trying to get the exact wording of the question right, and I was just struggling a little bit. And there's an indication that he perhaps won one properly, but didn't carry a Slammy for it, and then didn't win another two and just claimed them. Do you see what I'm saying? So I was going to ask what were the names of the two that he claimed, but actually he did win another one. So it's all a little bit strange. That's why you didn't get an Owen question, because it was very difficult to pin down without watching 6 hours worth of Slammy Awards and getting it exactly right and writing it down.
Fair enough. Well, that's fair. Lack of dedication there, Rob. Chris looks like he's ready now.
He stole the award for best bow tie. I know that.
Very
and
nice.
And in an earlier, guys, he won an award for biggest rat. But I think he may have stolen another one in there to get his two Slammys gimmick. But anyway, that's why you didn't get an Owen question, folks. Chris, hello.
Hello.
Play.
Right,
cool, mate.
On that one? Yeah, right then. Chris Marden 4, Matt Barber 3, Patrick Heafield 3, Adam Ferran 2, Dylan Edwards 1, Matt Rickson 1, Will Kitchen 1.
Splendid. One more time, if you will.
Yeah, Chris Marden 4, Matt Barber 3, Patrick Heafield 3, Adam Ferran 2, Dylan Edwards 1, Matt Rickson 1, and Will Kitchen 1.
Awesome. Well done, guys. So, Chris, this is your favourite part of the show. Always disappearing. You come back to us. Come back, Hatch. Me and Rob were talking about this. We don't normally we do it impromptu, but it came up in conversation earlier this week, and we thought you'd make a great effort this time. So when we come back for the bonus points for the next round, Rob and I would like to see you giving the bonus points out in the style of the Iron Sheik. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
Political correctness grounds may be difficult, but I'll go.
Well, I think you get a disclaimer, mate, on account of that it's our fault.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Right, mate. So we'll see you in 5 questions time.
Cool.
Adios, cheeky baby.
In a bit.
I think you like that, don't you?
I think it's a fair. Well, listen, we're adding a bit more gravitas to it. This is an Olympian, a talented amateur wrestler, a former world champion. So it's one with some gravitas. It's not a silly character. It's not one with a silly voice. Not one that's laughable on social media. Oh no, wait, hang on. No, it's the Sheik. Oh yeah, okay. This could be fun, folks. Please don't report us. If it's a bit over the top, we'll just pretend that we're doing an impression of Dean Ayas.
There you go. It's come from the right place. Anyway, right. So let's carry on with this round. Let's carry on with the final 5 questions here and see where we land with the connection. So we're on question 11 now, aren't we? So question 11.
Yes, 11. Yeah.
Question 11. JC Ice was one half of PG-13. Name his tag team partner.
I do know this as well. I don't actually understand how that fits the connection.
You're doing all right, aren't you?
And weirdly, if the connection is what I think the connection is, I actually know bugger all about that as well. But you maybe have made these questions a bit top heavy, so which is good on my part. Do you know what? PG-13 is one of the... Sorry, I can see Chris in the me and Paul can see Chris on the screen. And we can see him getting ready, and it's already quite good.
It's definitely nativity play rather than mild racism. Yeah. So we're on good ground. Yeah,
he does look more like the Virgin Mary than he does the Iron Sheik at the moment, but we give him time. Or perhaps Mother Teresa, one of the two. I forget what I was going to say. Oh yes, I don't ever remember them calling them PG-13 on the telly. That's one of those things that I've always learned post. If you say, "Oh, this was," maybe they were called that beforehand. Maybe they were called that. I was going to say, but I never remember them being called that in WWF.
They were PG-13 in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and I believe ECW. But you're right, they weren't referred to as that. They were just nature domination rappers, weren't Yeah.
Everyone knows what they are. But yeah, they were just a couple of rappers in the nation, but they did say their names in said rap, which is how I know the answer.
And with JC Ice, the other one was
dishing out the lyrics. JC Ice and Wolfie D.
Wolfie D. That's your answer, is it? Okay.
The boys from the hood are on the MIC. Dishing out the lyrics. JC Ice and Wolfie D.
So question 12.
Clarence Mason is the Sorry. I do know all of that actually, but I'm
sure you do. Question 12. Which Powerplant graduate graduate was given the nickname The Main Event in WCW in 2000? Which Powerplant graduate was given the nickname The Main Event in WCW in 2000?
You count the stars while the ref counts 3. Hope you like to look at ceilings because it's all you're going to see.
I hope you like the ceiling.
Domination. What?
I hope you like the ceiling.
Hope you like to look at ceilings.
No, you're spitting out too much rhyme there, mate.
No.
Too many bars. Hope you like the ceiling because that's all you're going to see.
No. Hope you like to look at ceilings because it's all you're going to see. It's not hope you like the ceiling. Hope you like to look at ceilings because you're lying down looking at it.
Let's Google it, shall we? Nation.
No, let's not. No, let's not. Let's do
Nation of Domination rap lyrics.
Because all lyrics websites are definitely 100% correct, aren't they? I don't know the answer to the question. I'm stalling because I don't know the answer. I'm trying to think of other things that fit my connection, and I'm coming up very short.
Well, whether you know the answer or not, you were correct on the rap lyrics, I have to say.
Okay. Matt Barber has just said to me 3 little words I love to hear. Rob is right. I don't know this, and I'm trying to think of anything that fits my theme. A Powerplant graduate was given the nickname The Main Event. Like, as in, if it was you, that they'd be called The Main Event Paul Benson. They weren't just The Main Event. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I've got an answer that could fit my theme possibly. It's generic enough that it could fit the theme. I'm going to say, and again, it's 2000 WCW, so I'm going to say Sean O'Hare.
Okay. And what's next? So so that was question 12, wasn't it? So question 13. I've made these really easy this week, Rob. So I hope you appreciate that. So question 13.
Oh, sorry. Or maybe I'm just getting some right. Maybe they're not easy.
Question 13. Name the head scissors style move that was popularized by and named after a former WCW and WWF tag team champion. Name the head scissors style move that was popularized by and named after a former WCW and WWF tag team champion.
The head scissors style move. Head scissors style move.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I follow. Do you mean it is the head scissors? It's a
move.
Name?
It's a move that involves head scissors. Some form of head scissoring.
Okay. I'm not utterly convinced on your terminology of. Does it mean that that their legs went near the person's head?
Yeah, it does. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can. All right. I'm not crazy about that being referred to a head scissors. I think that's different. But assuming that I've got the answer, because there's again the theme is rather pushing me forward here. Oh, I just thought. Oh no, that's right. I just suddenly had an idea for what the last one could have been, the main event, but I don't think he's a Powerplant graduate. So I suddenly thought of another one. It's not buffering, Graham. It is filling to create entertainment to last the show. And also, occasionally Rob doesn't know the answer, so he is waffle. It's not. It might be waffle, and it might be filler. It's not buffering.
Well, let's have your answer to this one.
Speaking of WCW, speaking of WCW, and speaking of buffering, Matt Barber got annoyed that we didn't give due deference to Buff Bagwell on the podcast this week.
Sorry, Matt, you can't win them all.
Never mind. We didn't do. We never even did on the wrestler non-wrestler one. We never even did Buff and Judy, did we? As a combo. Sorry, you mean the internet. I thought Graham was moaning about me waffling, and actually it's a reference to his internet being crap, or indeed Paul's internet being crap. Right. I think you're getting at. Sorry. Now they're trying to get at me in the chat room. Adam suggests Kofi versus Arn. I'll talk a little bit about the podcast in due course. I think what you're getting at is the Frankensteiner.
Okay.
I think that's what you mean.
All right. So question 14, which is the last question. Because remember, question 10 is what is the connection, but question 15 is what is the connection. Question 14. Former WWF wrestler Corporal Kirshner had a long and successful post-WWF career under a mask in Japan using what name? Okay. Former WWF wrestler Corporal Kirshner had a long and successful post-WWF career under a mask in Japan using what name?
Yeah, I think I know that as well. That's a good. That's a hard. I think that's quite a hard question.
Well, it was left to last for a couple of reasons.
I think that's quite a hard question, but I do think I know it. Yeah, we'll do some. I'll set up some podcast stuff just before my last round of 5. But it's nice to know that some of you are listening and both offering up suggestions and indeed just trying to rile me. But that's just the way it goes. I sort of got my own way. Both of us sort of got our own way this week. Paul had to bend the rules to allow us both to be vaguely happy. Do you want an answer to this? Is it time for the answers to this?
Yeah. Give us an answer, mate. Give us an answer.
I think he was Leatherface. Was the gimmick? I think he's called Leatherface.
Okay, Leatherface is your answer. And then question 15. As everyone knows now, what is the connection between these answers? So I've given you 9 questions. You've got 9 answers, and I'd like to know the connection between them.
Well, for the record, I went in after 4, didn't I? We'd had 4 questions when I sent my private message. So I went for, and I stand by my answer as being, and you can see why because of tonight. I believe they're all an allusion to horror movies.
Horror movies, okay.
Horror movie characters, if you want me to be more specific.
Right. Okay, well, let's have a look, shall we? Let's start with question 11. We start with question 6, don't we? Actually, we go right from the start. So, question 6.
Yes, because we needed the correct answers, that's right.
Yeah, question 6. Alongside Matt Cardona, who hosts the Major Wrestling Figures podcast? That is Brian Myers.
I do have that written down. I have put Brian Myers / Kurt Hawkins, but you gave it me for Kurt Hawkins, right?
I would give it to you for either. So you can, if you put Brian Myers or you put Kurt Hawkins, you can give yourselves the point.
I wasn't certain of him being called Brian Myers, but I knew it was Kurt Hawkins, so I gave you the safe answer. But I had written down Brian Myers.
Question number 7. What was Tracy Smothers' gimmick name in his mid-90s WWF run? You said...
I said Freddie Joe Floyd.
You did indeed, and you were absolutely on the money for the point. Freddie Joe Floyd.
Can I just tell you that at this point, I saw Kurt and I saw Joe and I saw father and son of 2 generations of Hennigs. So I thought it was going to be some sort of... There was going to be lots of fathers and sons throughout. There were lots of generational things, but I changed my mind soon after.
Okay. Question number 8. Which member of the AEW women's division previously wrestled in NXT under the name Blue Pants? You said...
I said Lever Bates. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. Lever, but I believe that's right.
Sure. I'm not sure on the pronunciation either, but you are absolutely right. It's Lever Bates. Was Blue Pants. So well done to anyone who got that. Question number 9. Who did the Undertaker face on the first ever Monday Night Raw? I think it was in the main event. You said?
I said Damien Demento.
And you were correct. So that's 5 out of 5, Rob, for that run of questions. Oh, no, so it's 4 out of 4.
No, it's 4
sorry,
so far, but I'm about to
4 out of 4. But you are about to get 5 out of 5 because the question was in question 10. Who lampooned Owen Hart when D-Generation X spoofed the Nation of Domination? You quite rightly said it was Jason Sensation. So, yes, 5 out of 5. On to question 11. JC Ice was one half of PG-13. Name his partner. Confidently, you said...
Wolfie D.
Wolfie D is the right answer. So, question 12.
And for a Rob bonus point, Rob got the lyrics correct to the rap.
Correct. Yeah, yes, he did. Question 12. Which Powerplant graduate was given the nickname The Main Event in WCW in the year 2000? You said Sean O'Hare.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something O'Hare just sounded as if it could have been a horror character. I don't know this at all. I feel like it's going to be someone like O'Hare or Jindrak or one of those sort of guys that came through. The one I sort of stumbled across, I nearly said Vampiro for it being something similar to a horror character, but then I don't think he's a Powerplant graduate, is he? He's from Mexico and stuff. So
he's not. The Powerplant graduate in question was not Sean O'Hare, thankfully for me. It was Chuck Palumbo.
See, it's one of them, isn't it?
You're right.
Chucky, right? It's Chucky. Okay.
It was one of those indeed. So, question 13. Name the head scissors style move that was popularized by and named after a former WCW and WWF tag team champion. Yep, you were right again. It was the Frankensteiner.
Yes, I'd question whether that's a head scissors, but I think we knew what you were getting.
It's definitely head because it's putting his legs either side of his head. So it's a head. Anyway, that's what it's described as on Wikipedia. Okay. So question 14. Former WWF wrestler Corporal Kirshner had a long and successful post-WWF career under a mask in Japan, using what name? Rob said Leatherface, and he was right. It was indeed Leatherface. It'd be a pretty obscure one to get wrong. You either know that one or you don't, really, don't you? So,
yeah. Well, I'd been interested to have seen if you'd have just asked me that out of the clear blue sky, whether I'd have got that one. But the fact that we had a nice little this is why connection rounds are great, because you've got. There's a way in, isn't there? You can, if you don't know anything about the wrestling question, you can go, okay, what's my knowledge of
exactly
of horror films?
And as you've so rightly put, question 15 was what is the connection? And the connection is I've got down horror movie villains.
Yeah, okay.
I would accept horror movies, horror movie characters, whatever. Obviously, we are waiting for the horror show at Extreme Rules tonight. And the connection was horror movie villains. So I couldn't think of a pinhead one, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd have definitely gone with that. Was one of mine. So I was really struggling for a few of these that worked well. But just to give you those that don't know the horror film, so Brian Myers, allusion to Michael Myers in Halloween, Freddie Joe Floyd, Freddy Krueger, Lever Bates is for Norman Bates in Psycho, Damien Demento, and it's Damien in The Omen. Jason Sensation was, Jason in Friday the 13th. Wolfie D was probably the most tenuous of them all. The Wolfman.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand that one.
Yeah. Chuck Palumbo is for Chucky the doll, who actually did appear in WCW as Rick Steiner's tag team partner. But there we go. Frankensteiner is obviously Frankenstein's monster. Leatherface is the villain from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So there's our 9. Sweet. Okay, so that's me done. And Rob, you got 9 out of 10. That's your best score so far in my block. Well done. So, sorry, go on.
So patronising.
I know, but that's what I mean.
Just because I've had a couple of bad weeks, I'd love to go back and see how I've done over that. I think I was pretty good for about 12 weeks. I've just been crap for the last 2. So
more importantly,
unbelievably patronising.
The reason we've still got people tuning in is for what's about to happen. And that is bonus point time at the end of round 3, which is the high point of most of our weeks. So without further ado, let's bring in Hatchamania for the bonus points.
Bonus points this fucking round. Top score, Chris Marden, 4 points. If I find he cheats, then I put him in camel clutch. I break his back. I make him humble. Next jabroni, 3 points, Will Kitchen. Then lots of people, too many people, 1 point. Adam Foran, David Reed, Dylan Edwards, Leanne Overhouse, Matt Barber, Matt Rick, Nick Coley, Patrick Heathfield, all 1 point. Too many names.
Chris, you do not let us down, mate. You do not let us down. That was absolutely amazing. You must be insanely hot and bothered under all that gear. Cheeky baby, you made me humble. Now, oh, look at that hair. Look at that.
The only way around it is to put sunglasses on.
Amazing, amazing. But can we have the bonus points one more time as Hatch so people can actually understand them this time? Ah, fooey!
You can, yes. Chris Marden 4, Will Kitchen 3, Adam Brand 1, David Reed 1, Dylan Edwards 1, Leanne Culverhouse 1, Matt Barber 1, Matt Rickson 1, Mick Conley 1, Patrick Heathfield 1.
Fantastic. Chris, round of applause, mate. You're a great sport as always. That was hilarious. You do realise very soon you're going to be able to turn the tables on me and Rob, and you're going to demand that one of us does this.
Oh, damn right. Yeah.
I think maybe next week you should pick one from one of us, but don't tell us which one. Don't tell us who you're picking, and don't tell us who you're picking it for.
Okay. Leave that one with you. That's a good shout.
I'll see you in a bit, mate.
See you in a bit.
He's done it again, Rob.
I'll tell you what else has happened again. This happened last week. Do you remember last week I reported back during the points where Chris came in that I couldn't hear anything?
Yes.
Well, I never heard a word of that. So I what's going to happen is that the YouTube video is going to get one extra hit because I'm going to have to watch it because I didn't hear that bit. That's why I disappeared and went and turned my light on, which I forget to do every week. So I'm sure that was terrific. I'm also reasonably sure that there was something a bit iffy about it, but everyone seems to be reacting brilliantly. So well done, Chris. I'm sure it was tremendous. I will watch it later on.
2 words, Rob. 2 words. Plausible deniability.
Is that right?
That's why you're claiming not to be able to hear it. Right, let's go for the last 5.
That's 2 more words. Right. Let's finish off with my 5 then. And it's a rather different 5 this week. Because here's why. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, Paul, and indeed everybody. But my 5 questions are not about wrestling. So
unusual for a wrestling quiz.
Well, your connection this week was not about wrestling, was it? It was a connection that was in the real world, as it were. And your questions were about wrestling. Well, I'm going to turn the table on that somewhat.
Right.
I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and they are non-wrestling questions. However, the answers are very much wrestling related. Okay? So we'll see how we go, folks. But essentially, I am going to ask 5 general knowledge questions as opposed to wrestling questions. But the answers are very much in the wrestling world. Okay? As I always say on my quizzes, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just answer the question. But, let's remember what we're here for. This is a wrestling quiz. So these will be wrestling related answers. And I think I'm bedding you in okay with this. So number 16, what is the Lakota, Lokota, word for buffalo? What is the Lakota word meaning buffalo?
Okay.
Should I say what Lakota is, just in case people don't know, or is that part of the
part of the fun? I think on that one.
Okay, Lakota is a language. So what is the Lakota word for buffalo? I think that's not too strenuous. So when are we doing the draw to find out if people are winning some swag? Because we're actually a bit ahead of time, Paul. We're going to do right
15
questions. We've done 15 questions, and it's only 9 o'clock, and we do generally stick around until 10 doing the preview. So we've got a little bit of time today.
Well, that's fine. Maybe we'll do a proper Extreme Rules preview. Maybe we'll end this stream and start a new stream for people to join and advertise it as an Extreme Rules preview, so people can just jump in on that.
Oh, well, we could. It's up to you. You're the boss man. But
let's see how we get on.
But okay, that's there's the question anyway. It is a wrestling related question, even if it's not an actual wrestling question. What is the Lakota word for buffalo?
Okay, I'm going to answer that now because people have had a decent amount of time to think of the answer. I think the answer is Tatanka.
Okay, so whether or not Paul is right, if you haven't understood the way the question goes so far, his answer is at least in the correct style. So my question was about something unwrestling related. However, his answer was the name of a wrestler. So that is the correct style. I'm not telling you if he's right or not, but that is certainly the correct style. Okay, number 17. What was the name of the trading and shipping company and private navy considered to be the first corporation in modern Japan? What was the name of the trading and shipping company and private navy considered to be the first corporation in modern Japan? Now, listen, I love a general knowledge quiz, but that's a hard question. However, using the parameters of wrestling, you can at the very least have a bit of an educated guess.
Well, whilst you are, I'm going to bring old Chris in for a second because he's going to fill while I dip out for 1 second. So I'm going to do a Rob.
What was I getting stick for? What was I getting stick for in the podcast? What's he doing?
The thing I find incredible is I was so worried a couple of weeks ago doing the podcast with you that I was going to need the loo during it. And then I'm listening along to your live podcast this week and you get about halfway through. I've had 3 ciders now. I'm going for a piss. And then Paul does the same thing. I mean, it's not like I'm greenheart.
It's my podcast. It's my podcast. I can do what I want. You were a guest. You were a guest in my house. You take your shoes off on the way in. You sit on my furniture, not in the good seats, or not even in the room we keep for best. And you do as you're told in my house. So it's my podcast. If I want to wee, I can wee. It's Paul's quiz. He can do this. Don't be so ungrateful. We've given you a platform to come in here, show off, be all racist and all this kind of stuff. And you're moaning. How dare you?
I appreciate that because, look, you're saying I don't sit in the posh furniture in your house. I don't even sit in the posh furniture in my own house.
Well, you're not the boss, are you?
No,
you're not the boss.
Yeah, I mean,
I know the boss in your house, and it ain't you, mate.
I've upgraded to a desk now, but I haven't got to the chair part yet. So hang on.
He's not.
Race.
Oh, he's back and he's in the mid. He's back and he's in the middle.
It's a good job I took myself out of the stream because I remember I had my earbuds in, so you'd have heard everything if I hadn't taken myself out of the stream. That was all good. Chris, thank you for filling, mate. That was much appreciated. So the answer to the question, in my opinion, I think it's Fuji.
Sorry, I'm a bit. But you're. People will be annoyed. This annoys people. Ah, there we go. That's much more like it. Happy everyone. I sensed that some of the people in our room, Paul, are so OCD. They're actually CDO because they can't bear the letters to not be in order. So we had to make sure that they are placated.
Oh dear.
What was the name of the trading and shipping company and private navy considered to be the first corporation in modern Japan? Your answer is?
I think it's Fuji.
Okay. Number 18. These are hard, but hopefully they're fun. Number 18. In heraldry. Who asks heraldry questions? In heraldry, what word is used to describe the colour black? In heraldry, what word is used to describe the colour black? Would you like a clue? I'll give you a clue. Yeah. I don't mind giving clues. The clue, okay. The answer is the name of a former female wrestling personality. In heraldry, what word is used to describe the colour black? There is a way into this. It should be said. There's a way into this.
I'm just trying to think what it might be.
I mean, you could know heraldry, and you could just know the answer. But there is also another way through working something out that you could get this. It is a tricky question, everybody. What's happened is Paul's made his questions easier because he keeps beating me every week, and I've made mine harder. And so what's happened is we've done a bit of a flip, haven't we? But these are hard, so don't get dispirited. I won't do this every week, but they are hard. But they should be fun because you can just guess something, and if you happen to guess something right, then it's a great deal of fun. But do bone up on the heraldry. Good for pub quizzes, heraldry.
I'm gonna have a complete, massively total guess and say sable.
Okay. Number 19 in Sanskrit.
Dickhead.
In Sanskrit, what word can mean a rose-coloured lotus flower and can also mean hepatitis? Oh, is everyone in the quiz? Well, at least Rob's entertaining himself. In Sanskrit, what word can mean a rose-coloured lotus flower and can also mean hepatitis?
Well, this is one way of beating me. Just don't ask wrestling questions.
Do you know what? To be fair, if someone had have asked me these 5 questions, I would have got 2, maybe 3 of them. I would have known the heraldry question, and I would have known the first one, and I would have probably worked out number 20.
Hepatitis and a rose-coloured lotus flower.
There's not really a way of getting this other than trying to, think of a wrestler's name that may be a word in another language. That's kind of the way to go for this.
Yeah.
Think of wrestlers' names and think of how it might happen to be a word in another language. I can see Chris in the comments. Chris, give us a little nod. Has anyone got it right? He's nodding his head. He's nodding his head. They probably guessed it rather than knowing it, but that's the way it goes.
Jacques Rougeau.
I'm going to give you another guess. Clearly not Jacques Rougeau, is it? Jacques is just the French word for Jack or something, isn't it? That's not going to be bloody rose-coloured lotus flower.
Rouge, red.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, okay, not bad actually. Well, the answer would have been Rougeau then, but that's not okay. Not such a silly answer as I thought, but
I'll stick with it.
Okay,
but it's obviously wrong. But
it's obviously wrong. But number 20.
But there's nothing else coming through.
How would one say the Reaper in Spanish? So you've heard of the Undertaker being referred to as the Grim Reaper or the Reaper. You also may be a big fan of who was it that did the song? Was it Blue Oyster Cult? Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah.
And indeed, Chris Jericho's cowbell version of said song. But how would one say the Reaper in Spanish?
You have done me up like a kipper, my friend. And you've done everybody else up like a kipper, I suspect, as well. The Reaper in Spanish.
Gives me time to check me bets on for tonight to see how everything's going. Oh, not bad. Back to the action. How you getting on there, mate?
Yeah,
there's a way into this as well. There's very much a way into this as well. There's two. In fact,
I'm sure there is
2 ways into this. This is I very rarely in my normal quizzes. That is to say, I do quite a lot of pub quizzes and so forth. I rarely ask a question in which it's just a kind of don't know. There's usually a way into it. I love a connections round, as you probably have told, and indeed as Paul knows. So this is one of those ones where you can find a sort of the bottom rung of the ladder and start to work this one out.
Yeah,
in a couple of ways.
I've got the way in, but I can't really I can't move it forward to the answer because I know Spanish for death, which I suspect is probably the way to go. But
not specifically.
But it's not coming to me anyway. So I'm going to have a guess, and it's just a ridiculous guess. But I'm gonna say La Parka.
Okay. Why is that a ridiculous guess?
Because I've just pulled a luchador out of thin air that happens to have a skeletal costume that looks a bit like a Reaper.
Okay. Number 16. This is the answers now, folks. As Chris Hatch scrambles to get all the bonus points ready. We'll do.
So hang on. Let's just make that clear. So we've done all the questions now, guys. So we're reading out the answers. Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. So that's what I was saying.
Okay. Cool.
You just interrupted my explanation to give an explanation that was the same as my explanation.
Yeah, but you were just making assumptions. Carry on.
Someone's not terribly happy that he's got beat this week. Number 16. What is the Lakota word for buffalo? The Lakota is a tribe of Native Americans, and had I said that might have sealed the deal. Paul, you said
Tatanka.
Tatanka is the correct answer. There's a film in which they mention. Is it Dances with Wolves? Did they mention that in Dances with Wolves?
Yes, they do. Buffalo.
Yeah. I think I've seen that in the real world as well as wrestling. So I would actually ask that in a. I think I would flip that. Actually, I think in a real quiz I would say Tatanka is
what
the
does
word.
Tatanka mean in Lakota?
What does Tatanka mean in Lakota? Number 17. What was the name of the trading and shipping company and private navy considered to be the first corporation in modern Japan?
I've said Fuji, but I don't think it's right.
The answer is Kaientai.
Fantastic. Is that right? Brilliant.
Kaientai. In heraldry, what word is used to describe the colour black? You said?
Sable.
Sable, and you'd be absolutely right. That is the correct answer. It's also a type of fur. So, like you have ermine and whatever that comes from mink or whatever it comes from. Sable is like a fur, and it's a black fur. So you could get into that. That's a way into that one. Is that sable is a black fur?
Right. Okay.
Number 19 in Sanskrit. What word can mean a rose-coloured lotus flower and can also mean hepatitis?
No idea.
And now I think about it, the answer to the question, it could be, this could be something we give Hatch to do one week. This could be who he has to dress up as. I can't see anything dodgy about it, possibly for him to take his shirt off and draw a moon and some stars. Kamala is the answer. The Sanskrit word for rose-coloured lotus flower and hepatitis is Kamala. Did you know that there's a very high-standing American? I think she's a senator. I'm not very good on the American politics system, but she's either a senator or she's in the House of Representatives or a congresswoman.
She's a congresswoman. She's a congresswoman.
And she's called Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
And Kamala's real name is Jim Harris, so it's a lovely, lovely wrestling reference. And number 20, how would one say the Reaper in Spanish? I thought you were going down the line of Mortis, is what I thought you were going to say.
Oh,
because you said you thought you knew what the Spanish word for. What's the Spanish word for death?
It's muerte.
Muerte. Indeed, was it not Tito Santana's flying forearm was called El Paso del Muerte?
Is that right?
El Dia de las Muerte, the Day of the Dead. And one of the Dia de las Muerte costumes is the Reaper, which looks like a skeleton and is called La Parka.
Hey!
You were correct. La Parka.
To be fair, As soon as your reaction came into that question, I knew I'd got it right.
Have I got a bad poker face?
Oh yes.
I apologise to anyone that's associated with poker.
You basically how the bloody hell did you get that?
Victoria Corrin, Dan Blizzarian, Lady Gaga, whoever else is associated with poker. So yeah, there's your answers: Tatanka, Kaientai, Sable, Kamala, and Lapaka. You've learned what all of those mean today. There was a couple of others that were on the list that didn't make it. You were going to get what was a certain level of sumo was going to be on there for a Yokozuna. And there was a couple of other things, but that was the five I went with in the end. Again, a change of pace, something a little bit different, and we won't. I
enjoyed that,
but I thought it was a bit of fun, and it's a bit of fun, as Keith Barrett would say.
I think you got a good reaction from the crowd there, mate. So, and I'll take 3 out of 5 every day, every single day on that one. La Paca. There we go. Love it. Sweet. So let's have some points. Oh no, let's have some bonus points from Hatchamania.
Bonus points from Hatch, and then we'll final score, and then and I'll mention the podcast, and then we'll do our little draw, shall we? After that,
let's do it, Chris.
Yep, cool. Do you want some bonus points?
Yes, please.
Why are you here?
Patrick Heafield 5, Dylan Edwards 4, Chris Marden 2, Adam Ferrand 1, Callum Christie 1, Leanne Culverhouse 1, Matt Barber 1.
Top marks, everyone. Guys, if you give us it again.
Yeah, Patrick Heafield 5, Dylan Edwards 4, Chris Marden 2, Adam Ferrand 1, Callum Christie 1, Leanne Culverhouse 1, Matt Barber 1. There is one shout I'm going to do, and it doesn't get a bonus point, but I was waiting the whole quiz for someone to answer with Bastion Booger. And on question 19, Mick came in with Bastion Booger for hepatitis C. And yeah.
Love it.
It's all about timing as well. There's something about coming in at number 19, not waiting till 20, but coming in at 19 for a bit of comic
excellent
timing. So good for them.
So let's have a look at those points then, guys. So Chris Marden is the top scorer so far with 27. Well done, Chris. Mick with a very respectable 19. We've got some 13, some 15 to 16 for Adam there. Some cracking scores this week, guys, by the way. They're all brilliant scores. Chris, could you do me a favour, mate? Could you have a look at the people who've entered and just sort of, you don't need to literally write this down, but just in your head, tell me how many there are. Send me a private message how many there are and sort of mentally put a number next to each of them. And I'm going to do the random draw for the 2 winners of our Undertaker The Last Ride t-shirt.
That's a good way of doing it.
Oh, look at that. Patrick has stormed it. 32 points out of a possible 40. That is pretty shit hot, isn't it? And that's why we know Patrick knows his shit, because you don't get 14 bonus points if you're Googling the answers. There's no way.
That's exactly it. If sometimes you wonder, folks, why we do the bonus point system, listen, I'm sure most of you, in fact, probably all of you, aren't cheating, aren't Googling it. You're not going to be here having fun with us and doing this and Googling it. It's not that serious. You don't win anything. So there's no point in Googling and cheating. So I trust that all of you aren't doing so. However, the way round that is by doing the bonus points, which means people have to get answers in quickly, which means you literally just don't have time to Google it that fast. So we do know Patrick. He's got a consistently high scoring ratio, and it will be knowledge. So well done to him and to Chris, who had a very high score, and actually some really decent scoring all round tonight. I'm seeing some good scores come in. However many you got out of the 20, and indeed adding a few bonuses as well. And more to the point, we hope that you enjoyed it, because as it says on the shirt, it might say it's wrestling, enjoy it. We might have another one that says it's quiz night, enjoy it, because the same thing applies. It's all about having a giggle over the last hour and 15 minutes. We hope you had fun with it.
Absolutely. And I think we've done the draw for the Undertaker shirts. So, Chris, are you in a position to announce those 2 winners?
I am indeed. That would be Matt Rickson and Dylan Edwards.
Matt and Dylan, well done, gents. Congratulations. You win the shirts. So do us a quick favor, send us a private message with your address on, and obviously, I'll have your name, obviously. Send us your address and give us the shirt size that you want as well. I've got a box next to me of shirts. I can't 100% guarantee I've got the size for you, but I've got a fair range, so I should be okay. Guys, thank you all for playing this week. As always, hope a few of you are going to stick around for our Extreme Rules chat, and please join in as well. But before we do that, Rob, do you want to go through this week's podcast topic with us?
Yeah, I just want to mention the podcast because it was a really, really fun record this week. If you haven't listened to it yet, and I know some of you have by what you've said, what we do on the podcast is a very, very quick run through. Is that we pick a topic. Paul and I talk about that. Chris was with me a couple of weeks ago, but generally speaking, Paul and I discuss that topic for an hour and a half or so, and decide on what the best the top 5 in that particular topic are, and then it goes over to you to do the vote. This week, we couldn't get it to a top 5. There was an impasse between Paul and I about who was the 5th on our list in terms of the best tag team wrestler. We were discussing tag team wrestlers, and some people got in quite easily. Edge got in quite easily. Who else was there, Paul, that went in quite in at an early stage?
Who went in as an early stage? There was oh God. I'm completely blank now.
I got Terry Gordy in there. Edge was an early one. There was a few others that went in.
Edge was the one I was thinking.
There was a big impasse between Paul and I. He wanted Kofi Kingston, and I wanted Arn Anderson, and we couldn't agree. And it was the source of so much angst. I went out on Twitter and said, "Well, who would you choose, Kofi Kingston or Arn Anderson?" Knowing that the world would agree with me, and they didn't. And it was about 65 to 35 towards Kofi. But I'm furious. But I have also realised there is someone that we forgot to discuss of all the people that we discussed on that podcast. Because you were very big on Kofi Kingston, weren't you? Was your suggestion?
I was, yeah.
What we didn't discuss at length. Malcolm just suggested that Cesaro was what certainly went onto our list quite easily. We didn't discuss properly Xavier Woods, did we? We skirted around New Day, and we talked about how New Day works. Paul made the unbelievable assertion that New Day are the greatest team ever. That's what he said. But we didn't discuss properly Xavier Woods, who after all was with New Day. He was with Jay Lethal in TNA, and he did also have a well-publicized, short-lived tag team with Brad Maddox.
Yep.
And they were definitely on the same page.
Oh, God. As soon as I said yes, I knew where you were going on that.
Anyway, this week's topic on the podcast...
We don't talk about that.
I think it's a very good... They had good tag team chemistry, so we're talking about. What did you think I meant? On this week's podcast, which will be recorded on around about Tuesday or Wednesday, we are going to be discussing the best ever submission finisher. That is our topic for the week. The best ever, How to Be Great is the name of the podcast. So the greatest ever submission finisher. And we're going to need you to put a name and a move on this one. So you don't just say the figure 4 leg lock, but say Ric Flair's figure 4 leg lock, maybe Charlotte Flair's figure 8, maybe Jeff Jarrett's figure 4, maybe Greg Valentine's figure 4, but put a name and a move on it. We will be putting the info up on social media in the coming 24 hours or so, on Facebook, Twitter, etc. We will ask what is the greatest submission finisher, and we need you to put a person and a finisher on it, and we'll discuss that in the podcast this week. If you want to listen to this week's one, you can view it on YouTube Live, or our YouTube channel, which some of you may be watching this on already, and indeed your normal podcast providers via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and so forth.
Brilliant. Great plugging there, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So I think we should just go straight into Extreme Rules. We've got to an hour and a half nearly, so we'll just go. Well, let's keep it on this stream. Who's sticking around? If you're not, by the way, see you later. Good night. Thank you for playing the quiz. And everybody else, let's talk some WWE. Let's talk some pay-per-view. Chris, are you sticking with us, buddy?
Yeah, I'll stick with you for a few minutes.
Ah, that's very good. So tonight it is the horror show at Extreme Rules. It is what would it be? What is the 4th main roster pay-per-view of the empty arena era? If you go WrestleMania, Money in the Bank, Backlash, and then the horror show at Extreme Rules. So I think we've got a 7-match card tonight. First of all, general interest levels. Rob.
I don't know. Really mixed, actually. I'm just trying to get the card up on my screen here. I think if you told me the card, if you just said, "Here's tonight's show," and didn't tell me any of the build-up, didn't give me any other information, and just said, "Here's tonight's show." It's Drew McIntyre versus Dolph Ziggler, Asuka versus Sasha, Bayley versus Nikki, Braun versus Bray, Ray versus Seth, Apollo versus MVP, New Day versus Cesaro and Shinsuke. I'd go, that's a hell of a card. That is a really, really. How many? You've got 3 or 4 matches there that you go, man alive, they could be classics. Do you know what I mean? They're absolute brilliant mixes of people. But then when you start factoring in all the stipulations, all the gimmicks, all the suggestions that there's going to be a lot of pre-produced, that takes it away from me. If you just said this was, I don't know, Backlash, or name a pay-per-view, Judgment Day, whatever we've got these days, Battleground, and just said here's the matches, I think it was a great. There is not a bad worker in sight. The only one that you wouldn't say is a great quote unquote worker is Braun Strowman, but Braun does his character fantastically. So there's a shit hot card of fantastic wrestlers. I'm just not certain I'm all that sold about all the gimmicks, to be honest.
Okay, Chris, and same to you guys as well in the chat. Tell us what you think as well. Chris, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, very much for me. I was an advocate for the CGI cinematic type matches when they first started happening. It was something different. It was a way to take away from suddenly no fans and everything like that. I just feel for this one, they pushed the boundaries a little bit too far. I could understand you could do a cinematic match where there was still wrestling moves, there was still sticking to the realms of reality. But this one just seems to go a little bit too far for me. I'm sure the proper matches, in the quotes, will be great. I just don't know if there's too much cinematic stuff on this for my liking.
I think I sit with probably both of you, in my opinion. I think that I can see what WWE are doing, and in this empty arena era, full credit for trying something different, but they're just leaning too far into the silliness, in my opinion. And using an Extreme Rules pay-per-view and turning it into a homage to horror films is great, but an eye for an eye match, I'm all for suspending one's disbelief. But you tell me that you're going to have a wrestling match where to win, you've got to pull out your opponent's eye, and I'm sorry, but you've lost me. You've completely lost me. And I've long said, if anyone reads my columns, my weekly Monday column, you'd know that I am just the biggest fan of this version of Seth Rollins. I think, this character that Rollins is playing is absolutely first class in every way. But I just don't get it at all. Having said that, I am quite looking forward to the swamp fight, because that is going to be ridiculously silly. Dead man. What's the boneyard match? It's going to be that sort of thing, isn't it? It's going to be alligators and mist and spooky, weird shit done in a very camp way. So I think I'll be all right. I'm enjoying, looking forward to that in a camp way. But yeah, the rest of the guys.
I think there's a difference between camp and campy, Paul. I think you mean a campy way.
Campy way. I do mean a campy way. We're not going to have Bray Wyatt being camp, I don't think, in this one. But yeah.
Oh, mercy, the buzzard. Sorry, folks. That wasn't very 21st century. And just to touch on, I'm looking at a few comments now. Thomas makes a great point about the predictability aspect of it. Yeah, I echo that as well. That's the other thing for me. I think I've made predictions for this, and I've made predictions for every match, and I suspect I might be on the money with every one. I do think the tag team titles will change hands, but I don't think that's unpredictable. I think that's fairly predictable, actually. And that's all I've got to say about the card as a whole. We can delve into some individual matches if you like. Chris, which one should we talk about first?
I think you started on the swamp fight. I think that's a great one to pick up on, because I agree with you that it's going to be silly. I think what helped this is the fact we had the Boneyard match, where we've been going, what the hell are they going to do with this? We kind of know what to expect a little bit now without knowing too much. So that helped keep some interest in it. Whether it's just a build to SummerSlam, as most of the show is, yeah, we're pretty sure, I'd guess, that it is. But yeah, I think it could be quite good.
Rob?
I think Paul will be expecting what I'm going to say, but anyone that listened to when we did a WrestleMania podcast before we started the How to Be Great strand will generally know that I really liked the Boneyard match and I detested Cena versus Wyatt. What did they call that? I don't even remember what they called that, but I hated the Firefly Funhouse. I hated that. And so I don't know what to expect here, because if this is more Boneyard, then cool. And if it's more Firefly stuff, then I'm not really interested in seeing that at all. But if there is a place that you go with the cinematic stuff, it is Braun and Bray, because you're not taking away from a classic, are you? You're not putting in two wrestlers that would have a great match and then making them do some silly gimmick. You are at least taking people. What did Paul Heyman always talk about? Accentuate the positives, hide the negatives, smoke and mirrors. And I think you can do that with Braun and Bray. You sort of get away with it. And I mean, I've got it down in front of me as Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt. I mean, is it Bray Wyatt or is it The Fiend? I apologise, folks, because I don't have BT Sport, so I'm not following the product at the moment. I don't really know what's happening. What's
old Bray Wyatt. It's old
Bray
Hawaiian
Wyatt.
shirt, Waylon Mercy style Bray Wyatt.
Right. Well, I wonder if perhaps, Braun Strowman will be getting the better of him and then The Fiend will appear. And then that will be how Bray holds out. I certainly have one thing to say that I forget who it was that said it in the chat, but you certainly backed it up, which is that I don't like the idea of criticising a show for being too predictable before it's happened. I mean, you're predicting that it will be predictable, but I mean, if you've got seven suggestions of who's going to win and 5 of them are wrong, then you're wrong, aren't you? It's not them being wrong. It's if you're right on all. And first of all, sometimes predictable is not always bad. By the way, sometimes predictable means makes sense, because you can do them either way. Either it's too predictable, or it doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean? You can have them either way. I can't comment on whether it's predictable because I'm not following the weekly shows, but. I will say that I think it's a bit of a harsh comment. The one other thing I'll follow up on what you said, Paul, in terms of the eye for an eye match and the stipulation. You said it had lost you. I mean, when you're not following it like I'm not really, and then you see that as a stipulation on Twitter, I genuinely thought that was a kayfabe news, stupid headline, not a real story. And then I think I even texted you, Paul, and said, and you went, no, it's real. And I was like, really? And it's like, it is the kind of thing that would make me listen. The criticism of WWE for the last 10 years has been it's too PG. It's too silly stuff. It's too much for the kids. It's too Super Cena. And we're talking PG. Not only is this referred to as a horror show, but you take someone's eye out. I would have thought taking someone's eye out would have been too stupid in 1999. Let alone 2020, when we're supposed to be aiming at families. This is the kind of show where I'd go, if I had, you've got a 6-year-old son, Paul. I don't know how much he watches the show on a regular basis. I know he's familiar with wrestling, but I don't know how much he watches it on a regular basis. But this is the point where if I had kids that were under, I don't know, at least under 12 or 13, I wouldn't be letting them watch this because I don't know what's going to happen. And it's like, to me, that's too far. This is not PG.
Well, to directly answer that question, I won't be letting him watch that, because even if they tease taking someone's eye out, that's too far.
Yeah, it's not on.
Even if they don't go for it, and even if it's some comedy ending, or if Dominic sacrifices himself or whatever, it's not right at all. So no, we won't be watching this. But we were watching the swamp fight. And just on the swamp fight, the only two things I want to say is, first of all, if I don't see a Skinner appearance, then there's a wasted opportunity right then and there, right? That's all I ask. And just to reply to Mick's comment about Jeremy Borash very briefly, if you've heard our podcast before, you know how highly we think of Borash in terms as a producer and where he's going. And I would go as far as to say in this cinematic era, if that's what we're calling it, of WWE pay-per-views, he is about as influential as anybody in the company, because he's the guy that knows how to put these things together. The three of us on this, we've seen Borash at work on a smaller scale, obviously not producing pay-per-views for WWE, but he is a machine, and he is a workaholic, and he is a producer extraordinaire. And I can tell you now that he will be the go-to guy. He'll have a direct line to everyone that matters in that company over this. He'll be trusted, he'll be empowered, and he'll be absolutely central to what they're doing. So yeah, as big a figure as any in the last few months. Maybe that'll last, maybe it won't, but certainly for now, he's right up there. So
did you say? What did you say? Have a direct line? What did you say about that?
A direct line into the higher ups, you know, like
okay, because he used to send people directly backstage. That's what he always said. That was my little mini. I actually got to do a JB impression to JB. We had Jeremy Borash on WrestleCast way back when, and Joel made me do the impression. But it's, if you're the loudest person in your row, the loudest person in your section, we will find you and take you directly backstage. Every time.
Then. Okay. So on to the next. Yeah, let's talk about our favourite match on the show. So Rob, I'll go to you first on this one. Out of that card, if you look at that card of 7 matches, which match grabs you? Which one are you looking forward to the most?
If you make me say one, I'll say the New Day versus Cesaro and Nakamura, because I'm a massive fan of everybody involved in that. They're all so different. New Day's tag matches never let you down. Never. Nope. And you are talking the quality of work in Cesaro and Nakamura. The absolute crux of our podcast that we talked about earlier on this week was about the best individual tag team wrestler. Cesaro made R5. He might even win the vote. I don't know what the voting is at the moment, but he is the absolute epitome of, if you want to put someone in a tag team and make them just feel, you know, instantly credible, he's your man. And, you know, Nakamura hasn't really clicked, you could argue, since he's been in the company 3-4 years. Maybe he does need someone with him to steer him a little bit from an American wrestling perspective. That match just is, to me, it's mouth-watering. If it's given the time, if it's given the space to breathe. To be fair, the thing that's going to be against it is the fact that if you think of all those New Day matches, those great matches with the Usos and with the Shield and with the rest of the Shield, but with the Wyatts and all those great teams that they've had, great matches that they've had, the crowd are a huge part of those matches.
Yeah,
you know, the crowd getting into them and oohing and ahhing, and having no crowd, you simply can't have a 5-star match without a crowd. You can't. It's part of what it is. But they can still, if it's good, and we've seen matches, haven't we? We've seen Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles and other matches, which is they still get you and they still draw you in and have them watching. Those are the two teams. Those are the 4 men that I expect to do that. But I will say, on a secondary level, in terms of if it's a bankability, they're gonna get you a 7 or 8 out of 10 for sure. There's no way that Asuka and Sasha have a bad match. Just no way. But I don't know the stories going in, so I don't know the intrigue about who takes the belts and so forth. But as I said, there's not a bad match on the card. There really isn't in terms of the people involved anyway.
Yeah, I've got to say, before we go to Chris, I agree with you on 1A and 1B are the ones you've picked. I'd have said exactly the same thing. Chris, what's your thoughts, mate?
Well, I'm going to start exactly the same way as Rob. If you make me pick one, but it does show the strength of the card that my 1A and 1B are completely different to you guys. Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler, I just think nobody can lose in that match. They will both come out of it looking at $1 I don't see how there'll be anything bad to come from that. Yes, again, it's probably predictable, but I just think that match works, and we know that both of them can work to that main event level and give us a great main event in front of a no fan situation. My secondary match, and this would be a long way down a lot of people's lists, I think Apollo Crews versus MVP will just do a really good job. I think MVP will know exactly what he's in there for, exactly why he's having this match, and how he can help elevate Apollo even more.
Okay, fantastic. I was specifically talking because obviously, Rob, you've covered those 2 matches. Chris, Rob, you've covered the tables match. Just to touch on the Asuka Sasha Banks match, putting it together, to me, it comes as a pair with the Bayley and Nikki Cross match, because I think, to me, this week is where the tension between Sasha and Bayley hits that next level. It's been on the back burner for a few weeks, deliberately, I think, to sort of move that story forward with a bang when it does happen. And I think we're going to see probably the first or second match of the night. I suspect Bayley will win against Nikki Cross. It's not hard to predict, with the help of Sasha. And then I suspect that when the boot is on the other foot and it's Sasha in the match, Bayley will fail to offer the same courtesy to her best friend, tag team partner. And I think that's what will start to make Sasha realise that she's being used by Bayley to keep her title. But those two have been, for me, in the last 2 months on WWE TV, those two have been the absolute MVPs. Bayley and Sasha Banks have been absolutely phenomenal, both in the ring, in terms of character, in terms of story. I just think they've absolutely smashed it on all cylinders. I've really enjoyed everything they've done. And I think tonight will be quite a pivotal night for those guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. I suppose, in a way, I'm talking myself into enjoying this card more than maybe I think I would, if that makes any sense. I just think there's probably a lot to get to, a lot to like. Like, for instance, with Rob, having not watched WWE TV and not followed the bill, I suspect if you put Extreme Rules on tonight, Matt, I think you'll probably enjoy it.
I think I will. I'm quite looking forward to it. I am toying with the idea. I don't stay up for shows anymore. Indeed, what was the last pay-per-view?
Backlash, wasn't it?
Right. I didn't watch Backlash. I've watched a little bit of it. I've hardly seen any of it. I wasn't interested. Do you know what I mean? But I watched WrestleMania, but I didn't watch much of the other stuff. I watched the NXT show that was on, but I'm not. It's just not. I because I don't have BT Sport and I refuse to use streams or anything. I can't keep up with it. So therefore, I sort of I lose it onto the back burner a wee bit. But this is the kind of show that makes me go, oh, do you know what? I'd watch this. I want to watch this. The NXT last show did as well, and this does as well. I look at a card and go, bloody hell, this is a good card. And do you know what's also important in here? There's a few people here that have got some things to prove, right?
Excuse me.
Dolph Ziggler, I think we might come to Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre on a larger basis in a minute. So when we come back to that to talk about that match specifically, I'll hold back some of my comments on that. But both of those men have got something to prove. Are you going to do your little stat about the women's division, Paul, or are we saving that for another time?
The stat about the women's division?
The question that you asked me a couple of days ago about the champions.
Oh, no, we're going to save that. Okay.
Well, anyway, Sasha might feel that she's not been featured as well as other people could be. This is Nikki Cross's big moment as well. This is her first match. I mean, she's been featured, but this is her first moment at this level. She knows there can be Scottish champions now, so maybe they could go with having two Scottish champs. MVP. When's the last time MVP had a one-on-one match on WWE pay-per-view? Do you know what I mean? It's like, he's always been good, but I mean, Hassan's in his late 40s now. He's still got to prove he can still go. He's got a lot to prove. So's Apollo, who's in this position he's kind of come out of nowhere. Cesaro always having to fight it. Nakamura never having to go. There's so many people that have got something to prove on this show, and if they step up and they do it, it could be loads of fun. Obviously there's going to be no crowd. Obviously it's a bit of a B show pay-per-view, and obviously there might be a little bit too much cinematic nonsense. But if it's not, forget the Wyatt Swamp, forget the eye for an eye. The other 5 matches have so much potential as wrestling matches. Screw the greatest wrestling match last month. There's 5 tremendous wrestling matches here if they're allowed to wrestle.
Yep, absolutely right. Fair point, mate. Fair point. And just to sort of elaborate on that, then, so let's talk about Drew and Dolph, shall we? What do you think? So, Chris, what do you think about Drew McIntyre's title reign so far? He's obviously massively unlucky that it's come right in the middle of this horrendous situation that the world finds itself in. But so a 2-part question for you, really. A, how do you find it as it's been, and B, what do you think do you think we'd be talking about him as a wonderful champion if it had been business as usual? Because let's assume, and it's a fair assumption, that he would have still won the belt at WrestleMania. He would. That was the plan. Would we be looking at him with an incredible sort of run behind him already?
See, I think the clever part of what he's done is he knew the position he was coming into Obviously not how he was going to get there in the current circumstances. I think he's really tweaked what he wanted to do with it. And I think he's probably been given a little bit of an opportunity to take a lead on, well, how do you feel you can run with the ball as a top champion in a no fans era? Because who knew how to do it? So why not go to the guy that's doing it to get some of those opinions? I think he's come out with some good little references on Raw to make things feel a bit different. Would it be different if he was in front of a crowd? There's no question. That's a ball I think we all would agree we know he can run with. But what I think he's done is very cleverly make himself look so good in this era that whether he was shining after it or not, who knows? We can't be sure on that. But when we come out of this, he is so well positioned to keep stepping on. And when there's fans there and he can run with that, he'll know, right, this is now, I'm tweaking from this to this, and he'll be ready to do it.
Good answer. Rob?
The comparison I made in terms of, I can't comment on the storyline and so forth, but the comparison I made in terms of just looking at Drew McIntyre, his character, his physique, and doing the same with Dolph Ziggler, I look at those two, and the comparison I make immediately is WrestleMania 11. Is that the right WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Diesel versus Shawn Michaels. You know, I see Diesel versus Shawn there. You know, the big guy. I mean, Drew might not be Kevin Nash size, but he's pretty big, isn't he? He's a legit,
he's not far off.
6'7". Yeah. Drew, he's a big lad. Dolph much smaller. Now Dolph is a good heel. He's a bit weaselly and whatever, but he'll still be wanting to prove himself in this match. It's a hard dynamic, especially with no crowd, to do the big guy babyface and the smaller guy heel. So I'm really looking forward to see how that plays out. First of all, in terms of Drew as champion, we just don't know, because we just don't know what reaction he'd be getting week in, week out, walking out in front of the fans on Raw. You need to know that. It's not just about ratings and house shows and whatever. It's to do with when you walk out, when your music hits, what reaction do people have, good or bad, all in or indifferent, and it's I don't think we can judge Drew, and I don't think anyone will be able to judge Drew, until there are fans packing arenas again, and who knows where that's going to be, because there's a Hall of Famer in charge of that country that's not doing a very good job. So it's you just don't know when people are going to be in and are going to be able to make that sort of judgment. But from what I can tell, just in terms of social media and interviews and whatever, Drew carries himself like a champion. He's learnt something he never did in the past. He went away, he's learnt his trade, he's come back. It's an unbelievable story. But when you just see him doing an interview, he did some videos for us, Paul, didn't he? He did some videos about, just saying about Hooked on Wrestling. And he looked like a champion saying it. He didn't look like I'm going to pick on someone someone I'm a fan of and who we saw last night. But when Chris Sabin was TNA champion, that's not a champion. When Bobby Roode was TNA champion, he went, bloody hell, Bobby Roode just exudes something. There's something in that, how you look and how you feel. And I just think Drew feels like a champ. And I think that's impressive, because I didn't see that before the Royal Rumble. And when the Royal Rumble hit and he won and everyone went a bit nuts, I still was a bit unsure. But he feels right now. And so I hope he gets that chance in front of people once that all kicks off. I'm sure this to me feels like one of those matches where Drew, it works as a champion. The story works, the championship works. But now you've got to prove it on top. There's been lots of champions that the fun is them getting there. But once you're there, you've got to prove you stay. A great example is Goldberg. The whole Goldberg rise to the top in WCW was amazing. But once you get to the top, as I remember Nash saying in one of those Legends of Wrestling things, once you get to the top, you've got to prove it. You've got to be main event in house shows, you've got to be main event on pay-per-views, and they had to carry the guy. Drew doesn't need carrying, but if he's in there with someone like Dolph, he can put this is an opportunity for Drew McIntyre to basically say, this is the best match of my life. This is a reason why I'm champion. I can have a 20-minute back and forth, fantastic match. Emerge victorious, hold the belt up, and people go, that guy's a champ. And it's important for people to have that match. It's not going to make him, because the title may have already made him, and having a match in front of no one is not going to make him. But he can earn a lot of credibility tonight. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those two and how they can put it together.
I think it's really interesting. He's had what, a 4-month reign, basically the whole period of lockdown.
The whole lockdown,
it's coincided with, and I think he's been lucky and unlucky in equal measure. Obviously, the massive unlucky is the way of the world and what's happened and why he is where he is. But I think the difference is when Drew McIntyre won the Royal Rumble and then subsequently went on to win at WrestleMania, it felt different. It didn't feel like they were just giving a guy a belt for a storyline purposes or because it was the right time for him or whatever. It felt like they were crowning a new face of the company. And I use that in the proper sense rather than the cliche sense they often use on screen.
Right.
It really felt like they were crowning a guy, replacing Roman Reigns effectively. Is the experiment as him as the number one guy over? I think so. And I think when you're in a position like that, you're not judged necessarily by your individual title reigns. Like if somebody else was in this position that they weren't as sure on, like Dolph Ziggler, for instance. Let's say Dolph Ziggler had been given the belt at WrestleMania. I think they would have called time now. I think the low ratings and the general negativity that's not Drew McIntyre's fault at all. But I think that would have been held against a lot of guys. But clearly they see something in Drew McIntyre. So to me, I even read rumors this week that they want to take the belt off him just so they can give it to him again with fans in the arena, have his proper crown, which makes all the sense in the world. And I just think that he's you look at the media that he does, and you look at the way he's thrust to as the figurehead of that company. They clearly see something in him very long term, and I think he's very, very fortunate to be in that position because this would be career killing for other people just by no fault of their own, just be in this position. But I think he's worked so hard and put himself in such a great position and earned the trust through hard work and leveling skill up that he's in it for the long haul, and this will be a speed bump. I think, like you say, Rob and Chris, he looks like a champion, he acts like a champion, and I think he's going to be at that stage for a very, very long time. I think he's going to be excellent, and he's going to be excellent long term.
There's a couple of points in the chat that were mentioned a few minutes ago that Mick and then Thomas both referenced the fact that the Otis has a Money in the Bank clause. Mick suggests he'll turn up at the Swamp and cash it in on Braun, but there is also Thomas saying, "Well, if Dolph wins and Otis cashes in on him, ultimate revenge." I don't see it happening, but if what you're talking about is correct, as in they're going to take it off Drew now and go down another route, it would be a fun way of doing it, I suppose. The Dolph Otis story is there to be done. I don't know how you go about doing it, but it's unlikely, but it's probably food for thought.
I think sadly, my suspicion is that Otis hasn't been on TV for a while because I think he's probably got COVID-19.
All right, okay.
That he was taken off so abruptly and not been mentioned. I suspect he's one of the guys that's either shielding because he doesn't feel comfortable being on TV and out and about, or he's actually got the disease. Because there was a bunch of guys that got it and never been named, and that's just purely my speculation. But I don't suspect he'll turn up tonight either way.
So when it comes to getting that particular disease, you think that Otis got a dose of it?
God. Oh man, it's getting late, isn't it? It's getting late. I know we've got these lovely banners on here. I wish we had CGI tumbleweed as well.
It's excellent wordplay. If it goes over your head, that's not my problem.
I will give one quick positive, which I won't name names because it's something I've seen on a personal Facebook of someone in NXT basically saying, "Screw you, I've beaten COVID." So maybe we are starting to see people going to be coming out the other side of it now and returning back to TV a little bit.
I hope so, because it's just good news, isn't it? It's just nice to see it when things we all want to see it go back to normal. We want to see Hooked on Wrestling parties back to normal.
Yes.
We're just starting to get to the point now where, obviously SummerSlam's going to be a no-go, sadly. I had to make that decision this week. But we are going to be back before the end of the year. I'm convinced. That makes it still sound like I'm hoping. We are going to be back before the end of the year.
And then we have your post-midnight celebration that everything's run smoothly, yeah?
Well, let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. But that's I think that's a nice note to end it on. I know we're not quite at 10 o'clock yet, but I think we've kicked the arse out of this pay-per-view.
Yeah, I don't think we can drag another 6 minutes out of it.
I think we've done well between us, haven't we? So, guys, I'm going to say goodnight to everyone who stuck with us. So, thanks for sticking around for 2 hours. The quiz we enjoyed as much as always. We liked our little pay-per-view review as well. It's a nice little thing. We like, as me and Rob always said, Chris, Rob, and I would probably chat amongst ourselves about this anyway. So it makes sense to share it with you guys.
If you're here, it's a bonus.
Yeah. So enjoy the show tonight. Chris is asking whether the pre-show's at 11. I suspect it's 12, Chris. I haven't actually checked. But don't take my word for it. But yeah, guys, thanks for your time, Chris, Rob, as per. Thanks for running around, and we will see you all. We'll talk to most of you in the week, and we'll see you all for the quiz next Sunday. Tatty bye.